If you like texture, then you're gonna love this video because we are gonna be doing lots of texture today. I'm gonna show you 3 texturizing techniques using the Olivia Garden Texturizing Shears. These are called the Perfect Blend. So I'm actually gonna start out, this is Joelle. We're gonna start out with the top section through here. As you can see, like I just did a fresh blowout. We're leaving it raw, there's no product, and I just really wanna see where the weight points are. So texturizing tip 1 is I wanna make sure that I'm putting air in the hair. I'm gonna actually start out by just going along the entire top section through here. So I'm gonna go into that layering first by taking a fairly wide section. It's about 2 finger widths wide. I'm going to mimic the way the cut was made. So in other words, I don't wanna go in with 90-degree layers when clearly the layers were cut this way. So I'm gonna start out by just a simple open and close in the midsection, and I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then as I get closer to the ends, I'm going to tap, tap, tap out. And now you can see that we're left with all of this extra channel work. So it makes it nice and soft on the ends here. So I'm gonna do that throughout the whole top section here, just kind of following the entire bridle ridge area and still mimicking that space. So tap, tap, and then as I head out, I just go a little bit closer together. Really what this is gonna do is short pushes long. So this helps to create channeling through the middle of the hair so that way that layer doesn't fall so heavily. But also the reason why we do a little bit more as we exit the head is because the whole point of this is to create lightness through the ends of the hair because we don't want that to weigh it down either. So I'm happy with the way the layers are sitting, but I don't like that it sits and collects together. So I'm trying to create a little bit more channeling through the middle of the hair and especially through the ends so that those ends don't weigh everything down. So this is gonna be the most conventional way of cutting the hair. And once you focus on this, this is something that you can probably do beginning to end in a matter of minutes. I always say less is more when it comes to this because you can always go back in. But just to make this even and feeling like, okay, I've gone through the center and I've lightened that part out, then that's a good place to start. Then I kind of shake it around and just see where does that weight want to fall. Because there's so many layers that were cut into this top portion, I really want to make sure that this doesn't shelve off too much. So that gets us into our next type of layering. This is where like using the mirror is really helpful because if I'm looking at Joelle's cut right now in the mirror, I'm still seeing a dividing line between where these layers are and where these layers are. I don't want to keep layering into the rest of this through here. I just want this to be a little bit lighter so that way she doesn't have to work so hard at getting that fullness that she's looking for. That technique that I just did really helps with getting this lightness through here so she doesn't have to fight so hard with that. And then the rest of it will come down to signature. So for this section through here, from this layer to the rest of this layering, that's where I'm gonna be focusing now. So I'm actually gonna pick up that section that's right in the center. I'm gonna open this whole section up and I'm gonna do what I call like a paper clip where I actually bring my fingers into it like a peace sign. So I'm gonna take the hair, open it up into like that peace sign, and it kind of opens a section, and I'm gonna go in and cut in to those spaces. Again, channeling this open where it's creating like those invisible layers through there. But what's nice about it is it gives it some lift underneath. So it's like kind of pushing and elevating that section up. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And this is where you're gonna kind of spot treat it, and that's why I like to call it more of a signature. So on the other side here, we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna open up the section here, paper clip my finger open, and then I'm gonna channel cut into these pieces where it looks weighty. The other thing that I'm noticing as I'm going into the weight of these layers is I'm seeing that there is a bit more bulk back through here. And when you're looking at shape, it's not necessarily always happening from the front, it's actually happening from the back because the back is what fills out the shape. So like this hair through here, this is heavier. And so if it's sitting there, you're missing the shape. All you can really see are these layers and then you see the drop off in between. It's more like when this gets filled out here, that's where you start to see where the shape is coming to life, and that's really what supports it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm taking these pieces from the back and I'm gonna do exact same thing that I was doing before. So I'm gonna take these sections through here and I'm gonna open this space up. Remember, paper clipping that section, and this is all the stuff that's from underneath. So I'm gonna start chipping in a little bit more heavily. And then as we're getting here, this gets to the top of that section. And so maybe I won't go quite as deep there. I like to always analyze that section and just make sure that that's feeling good. And a lot of times I'm just gonna bring it up and drop it down and just see where does that land. Remember, we didn't do anything fancy with the style. Like, I really wanted to look and see what her natural texture wanted to do if I just blew it out with a larger round brush and just see like, where is that falling? Where is the weight sitting? So if I were to examine this side, obviously I want to do the same thing for this side here. And this reacts very differently, just even doing that alone. So this is where my less is more thing comes in, because I want to make sure that I'm not overdoing it, because then you're going to end up building more layers into it. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the other side and just kind of feel that out. A lot of times you can't just look with your eyes, you have to feel with your hands. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to grab all that hair from behind the ear and I'm going to draw everything straight up. Paper clip it out. I'm focusing on underneath through here, so I'm going to go deeper into those sections. And then as I get higher up, I'm going to kind of back off a little bit and not go so deeply into it. Again, I'm going to utilize my mirror so I can really see what's going on here. And I'm playing around, so I'm kind of using my fingers and zhuzhing it a little bit just to see like, okay, where is this landing? How quickly is it falling? So whenever you're looking at bulk and weight, just really look at balance, shape, and where the bulk of that weight is sitting. So on this side here, more so than this side, I can see this is a little bit heavier feeling. So this is where you can actually spot treat. I'm gonna just take this section right here where I see that weight. I'm gonna hold it up at an elevation through here. And instead of going in this direction, I'm actually going to walk it out. But see how I'm doing it in a vertical? So I'm really going into that, like that section that I'm wanting to focus the majority of that weight where I was seeing it. Again, I'm gonna start playing around with it again, shaking it, moving it, zhuzhing it, doing all the things with it, just to see where that weight line falls. And that feels better to me. I can get away with doing a little less on that side because it wasn't quite as bulky as the other side. Okay, now I'm really happy. This is feeling good. We've got texture, folks. We're good. We're good. We got texture for days. All right, so remember I was saying before, we got one more thing we wanna do. So I'm gonna take this front piece here, kind of like where that fringy bit is falling, and I'm going to grab this entire section, kind of like in a triangle piece right here, where this is falling a little too blunt. I'm gonna take that entire section, over direct it to the other side of her face, and I'm going to walk it out from short to long. So walk it out, a couple more times. Okay, when I drag it back over to the other side, do you see what happened? Like this pops up now. But the important thing is it doesn't contribute to the weight here. So now I can like kind of play around with this section a little bit more. Move it. How does it fall? Where does it land? What I see happens a lot of times with stylists especially is that it's really easy to focus on the polish of it. And you can work on the polish afterward, but for this segment, you really want to make sure that you're focusing on texture. So feel it with your hands, move it around a lot and see how it behaves. See what the mannerisms are. So now I get to have fun. I'm going to put a little bit of product in it. I'm going to kind of piece it out a little bit so it really lets those layers shine. It lets them stand out. And then I'll show you the final after in just a second. Okay, so we just polished off with a little bit of styling paste so that way we could just really see some of those layers pop out. As you can see too, like structurally, we've got a good balance of just like weight. It shows off the shape. We can kind of show off that piecey texture. You can't see any like harsh weight lines to the top. So try these texturizing tips out with the Perfect Blend Shears by Olivia Garden. We'll link more in the show notes that you can actually grab some for yourself and enjoy. I will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out.